I'm talking about the protest that is in some place ongoing, in some place not even started, in some place might not even start, and in some place pretending to have started. But before then, let's come inward before we go and do some Afghanistanism. Let's look at Akwa Ibom State and what just happened recently. The PDP primaries that took place in all the 68 wards in Akwa Ibom State a couple of days ago, in line with the party's resolution that has to do with sticking to zoning, fair play, equity, and all that pertains to true democracy. We're going to look at that extensively today, and I've got two distinctive media aides to His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom State here in the house. They are my senior colleague. Let me bask in the euphoria of having to introduce Mr. Nkeneke Tom Akpanefo, but we'll call him NTA for Mr. NTA. It's nice to have you here. Funny enough, you're in the NTA compound.
Nice to have you here, Pato.
Mr. NTA came along with another distinctive comrade. We like to call it correct, feisty as you could do, as you could ever think about, especially when it has to do with his profession. He's a very accomplished journalist. As you come with him, he's always reading. He has one book. His passion is books. The last time I was with him someplace, I thought he was going to say, let's go after dinner or let's go have lunch. The next day he said, let's take that bookstore. I was like, this guy, what's wrong with this guy? I'm serious. We went looking out for books. He's not that person than Mr. Ekomo Peters. Mr. Peters, it's nice to have you in the studio.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Pat.
That's just the truth.
Just cracking with this
no,
morning.
It's the truth. The last time we had, I was privileged to attend a seminar with him, and then during the break, naturally, break is meant for people to go eat. And the next thing Mr. Ekomo Peters is telling me that let's check those bookstands. Have you read that book? I've read that book. I was like, no. Guy, we're supposed to be eating at this point, not talking about books. But that's why he's
a leader.
Definitely, that's a
reader.
Yes, the recent concluded PDP primaries in Akwa Ibom State that just took place on Saturday, precisely, in all the 368 wards in Akwa Ibom State, as it were, in line with the zoning system, equity, things being done properly. What's your take on it, Mr. NTA?
First of all, let me congratulate Akwa Ibom people for the primaries that just passed. It was one of the most peaceful, and I have to congratulate our governor for making this to come to pass. It has never been like this, and everywhere is calm after that PDP party primaries. From inception, I think we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 local government elections so far. In 1998, where the first primaries took place, it was all war, and many local governments, there were fracas everywhere, and even later then the PDP was not even strong. At the end of the elections for that year, the PDP lost like 10 local government areas to the APP then. And then 2 ADs. You ask me why I get all these facts. I consult history a lot, and my mind is that content most of this information before I got to the station. So it's all with war, and then gradually we got to a time. This is the very first time nobody has died, nobody has fought in a party primary to select the chairmanship. And there's been a whole level of political tolerance just by the method the governor used to achieve this. And from day one, the governor has been talking about inclusivity of the stakeholders in the government and in the party. From the start, there's nothing that happens at the party that it does not go down to the grassroots and make people meet. I attend stakeholders meetings in my local government now, and they call a lot of people to these stakeholders meetings where decisions are taken. People talk, people bring up their points, the others also say their mind, but at the end of the day, everybody will come to a central position on any issue. So it was during this party primary that just happened. There was a lot of tolerance for people's opinions, and others also agreed. So at the end of the day, we saw that candidates came out. Then beyond tolerance, there was inclusivity too. Everybody was taken on board, and the governor had said he wants to gender inclusivity also. He brought in women to the to contest for positions of councillor. He said 4 per ward, and nobody argued against it. The only time at the first the first time he mentioned that was the BOT member who said, let the party do it. Party sat down with women and brought out women to contest. Most times, all the local governments, I think there are 4 councillorship candidates and there are 5 female chairmanship candidates. He had said 6, but you see, we got 5, and I mean, women got 5, and the whole party is good for it. It has never also been like that, because in the since 1998 there was elections, there was no female candidate. In 20 female candidate, the first female candidate was the Kines Ekbota in 2008, and then 2012 they now had 4. Ken Monofio of Udomoko, Felicia Bassi in Okobo, Doru Say in Nicolebene, and Mfonekong in Sribon. Then in 2017 the number reduced again to 2. Meriban of Nsedetai and Victoria Talik of Eastern Obolo. Then in 2020 the number increased again to 4. Meriban of Nsedetai again, Precious Long of Refon Oruko, Akon Michael of Ibesipo, and Agnes Udoyewen of Obolo. And maybe later you can add the 5th one who took over when the chairman went to Ernest Tapan went to House of Assembly, Aaron Otobon Aaron. So in 2024 we've got five of them again now. Their names Otobon Aaron. He's repeating for Nsibibom. Then this woman is Udwaki Kemesdi Court, SDK, Lore Kaifyong at Ibono, Imefyong, Charles for back, and Engineer Otobon is saying for economy. So you can see that the government has brought, and women, you know their place in democracy, you know their place in the society, you know their place in grassroots mobilization, and you know their place in even leadership. Give something to a woman, you're sure your thing is safe. So they're going to bring in this to be. So the government has done a lot there, and then he also brought in the issue of zoning and rotation to make sure that every part, nobody claims minority and said he can't have this because it's from the minority part. He can't have this because he does not have a political godfather. So he made sure that every area obeyed the principle of zoning and rotation. So if you put all of this together, you can know that that is wide and fair primary elections where there are no contentions even after. And this is due to the government's great leadership style.
Thank you so much, Mr. NTNF, for that history lesson. It was one that was very engaging. But Mr. Peters, the government has also attributed the heat-free primary election to the attitude of Akwa Ibom people. Attitude. Now, Mr. Fo has said something about violence before, fighting, mayhem and all whatnot. Yeah. Now, the governor is saying that this present primaries that we just had, which was heat-free, was due to the attitude of the people. Now, in your perspective, have we had the shift in paradigm in the attitude of the people?
Without taking anything away from the governors, the people the governor is referring to are not just born. They are not just imported to the state, the moment the governor became, the moment he became governor. So these people have always been. So you ask, what has changed? So it is a given that leaders will always detect attitude, however you want to look at it. So the people will also move towards the attitude, and sometimes they call it the body language of a governor. So here they have a governor who has zero tolerance for violence, zero tolerance for marginalization, zero tolerance for imposition, a zero tolerance for unnecessary maneuvering. Okay, so it is seeing a governor who has pointed at a direction, and he's not just pointing at direction, he has taken steps towards convincing everyone has to shed himself, from whatever load, whatever baggage has been the part of you. If you cannot do away with it, you have to subdue it, okay, to meet the personality of the man who is leading at the moment. So they are not just imported, like I would say. They are not just born. They have always been there. But it is a lesson, in leadership, that leaders must set the pace. And once they set the pace, the people, the followers are duty bound to follow. And that will also give credence to what the popular John Maxwell's philosophy, that leaders know the way, they show the way, and what they lead the way. And once you know that this is the way of your government, and you give it to the people, and the people will be patient enough to look at the things you do thereafter. If the things you do match what you have said, matching your word with your action, then the people will necessarily start moving towards that direction. So for the governor Umoino, this past 14 months, people would say that whatever the governor says, he is bound to act accordingly. And because he acts accordingly, it gives people that burden of living to their words. So politically, we've seen people change attitude, change behavior, because the matters that affect attitude and behavior are both internal and external. There are two variables that affect behavior and attitude, both internal and external. So the internal would also mean that, look, you are telling us to do the things this way, so we'll be conscious enough to also observe if you are taking that step. And once they see that you are taking that steps, they are bound to conform. And the other external factors that could also influence behavior and attitude would necessarily be controlled by those internal factors which are on ground. So for the governor, he's giving credence in his usual way to the people. Maybe he does not want the people to say, "Oga, this thing where they talk, now you start up." So, but that is just what we've seen these 14 months.
All right. If you're just tuning in, this is still Backpass with Patryk Edeke on Memories 96.5 FM. Remember, like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, it's an interactive one, which you can also be part of it, by dialing the number 0803 0857 755. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp message on 0809 0666 909. This program is being streamed live on our Facebook handle, Memory 965 FM. You can go there and drop your comments, and we'll read them out here as we continue. Now, we've talked about the peaceful nature of the election. Some people have argued that the zoning was not practically upheld in some areas. Now, Mr. Fo, what will you say to people who have said such a thing? Because some people some people who force themselves, because the governor has been explaining for fairness, equity, inclusivity, as you mentioned. And some people, like humans, if you go back historically, when the Electoral Act came out, some people still find a way around the Electoral Act. Now, presently, some people have argued that some people still force themselves to belong to a particular zone that was non-existent, or recreated a zone to make them become part of the zone, and then as a result of that, politically emasculated others. What will you say to such?
You understand there's a concept about zoning that a lot of people not look at. There is micro zoning, there is macro zoning, and most of the talks about zoning here, not dealing with zoning as the governor had said, it's all about micro zoning. And the governor had said, and if somebody had listened to him very well, that if they had gone to the position of micro zoning, he wouldn't have even been governor, because it is macro zoning to the senatorial district that made him come out to be governor. So in this case, they had to push it to a matter of macro zoning. Like in where I'm from, we believe in the zone A and zone B structure, and we decided to stay there. If you decide to go and microzone it, it will cause more stress, because you will find out that there is no area that people have not had. It's not only about the chairmanship. They'll start counting from councillorship, they'll count commissioners for you, they'll even count directors in the ministry, and there is no area, no ward where people, and when you even go to villages, you will even find out that some villages have generals, some have not had generals. They'll still count it. Those are appointments, those are positions that people use in negotiating for all of this. So a lot of these things that happened were around macro zoning, and people really stayed on that. The stakeholders stayed on that, and the government gave the stakeholders free hands to deal with this. So you can't even blame the governor for this. You can also blame the stakeholders for this, because they too were doing justice to the issue of zoning. But in most cases, it was about macro zoning, And because this was about this, most of the words that we check it out, you can't even mention one that really fell. But there were also cases where the governor had even said in his first meeting with stakeholders that there will also be pleas for reasons to leave. I can't remember the word he used now, but he said we can say because of this, allow this. You get
doctrine of necessity,
doctrine of necessity and all of that.
Yeah.
Some were even out of performance. Maybe someone had performed. Look, let him continue. It will still go back to the next turn after. So it was. There is no. People are just. There are very few of those cases around. And when those cases are right, there are also things to compensate them with. Remember, there will be a secretary. There will be a vice chairman. There will be supervisory councillors, and all of that in the local government.
Okay. I mean, like you said, you talked about macro zoning, and then micro zoning was not respected. But again, if you come back and look at
in most places, I did not say it was not respected. I said
it was largely
issues.
about micro.
The issues. Most of the issues that could come out could be because of the micro
zoning.
one.
So it was at.
It was respected in majority of the areas, even up to the micro level.
Yeah, but the micro wasn't actually the issue. Macro was the major thing.
I would say so.
Coming back to you, Mr. Peters. Looking at it from that perspective, where those who are in the micro, who might have felt politically emasculated, over time, and then those who are still feeling politically marginalized, who are in the micro, who felt that His Excellency coming and saying, look, let's respect zoning, had felt okay. This is also our turn, considering the fact that His Excellency had said let's respect zoning, and they felt wow. If at the macro level, this community, for instance, you have 3 communities in a particular zone. Mr. Ford said, like for instance, zone A and zone B, and you have 3 communities in zone B. And in these 3 communities in zone B, community A and B had been all what he had mentioned, and community C has not found itself there. And then, wow, His Excellency came in and said, let's respect zoning. People in community C now felt, right, this is our turn. And they were not given that opportunity, and they felt, politically manhandled. What would be your perspective if you're talking to somebody from that particular area?
Well, there's always another day. There's absolutely always another day. The people so that will be elected wouldn't find themselves, forever. It's a matter of 3 years, right? And it will still, it will have a way of rotating, turning back to whoever or whichever zone had felt a marginalized area. Don't forget that sometimes even the communities that are benefiting now may have sometimes in the past, felt marginalized, had similar complaints, and now it has gotten to them. So that complaint has dwindled. I would rather want to see it this way, because beyond our involvement in our various communities, we've also had opportunity to interrogate the things happening in a number of local governments. Don't forget that what has really made the whole environment look calm as it is, except apart from the few pockets of complaints that we have here and there, which have they've really not had the wings to fly, because why? It was not externally imposed on them. Each of these local government, even the local government that had such complaints, you would understand that it was decisions were taken among the leaders of those local governments, and among that round table were people from even communities that feel they are neglected or twisted. Okay, so that for me points to one thing, that because decisions were widely taken by members of the local government, they understand their sentiments, and they also understand how to balance those sentiments. It is different from where someone who does not know the political balancing or the political the zoning equation in Mbo will sit somewhere and throw somebody on Mbo without understanding, okay, if I throw this person on them, how will I balance the other words? So because you do not know, it becomes a problem. Now, why people find it difficult to protest in this present circumstance is that the people taking decisions are the people themselves. So you cannot protest against yourself. So that is, I mean, that, so be away from His Excellency's directive. The other game that played is people taking power by themselves, not power being given from external. So it has really helped. It has really helped reduce that friction and calm situation down. Yes, the governor has said, look, as we are going into this whole thing of consultation, again, we must consider zoning, we must consider streamlining, we must consider the issue of the doctrine of necessity, and in all of this, people have also factored this consideration. Okay, so let's do a give and take, and people have we've also listened to a local government where people said, look, a House of Assembly member is from this zone, commissioner is from that zone, please let us not add chairmanship to that particular zone. Let's find a way and give another zone that chairmanship, even when it is believed that the chairman should go to this other place, but because we have saturated this particular zone with almost everything, can we shift the chairman to the next zone? So it is a question of, chop and let's chop, eat and live and let your brother live. I think that's just a common sense that has prevailed in most of these local governments. That again speaks to one thing, that look, the positions that we have in this zone will not be there forever. So once they have done their own turn, another rotation will have these things swap to one zone, and the other zone will take another. So I think that understanding has made this whole thing easier for the people. The forward thinking question would now be that who are the people the communities are throwing to take these responsibilities? Okay, we've seen like a foe in that opener. We've seen almost an attempt to balance the various constituents in political sharing, the women, the youth, the elders, and all of that. It's going to be a matter of as we are going on, people will now understand that look, there is nowhere one gender, there is no way one zone can have it all. It just must have a way of spreading for peace to reign. And the beauty of it is that the peace that we are seeing in this particular process, it's also powered by consultation. There is hardly a local government. I take my local government for instance. Before this time, you wouldn't have had too much of consultation. So if you have consultation, it could be consultation among Patryk Edeke and Ekomobon. But now you've seen, given the governor's body language or the governor's mien towards things, you could see series of consultation, layers of consultation, as if all they had to do was consultation, because the times have changed and you cannot but go along the pattern that the governor has set, which is consulting with the people and exhausting those consultation and carrying people.
Bottom line, it is safe for us to say that His Excellency the governor has handed over power to the people in his true sense.
Nobody can argue otherwise. All that right. You've seen him do.
All right, they're just tuning in. It's still back past the Patryk Edeke on Memories 96.5 FM. Remember, like I said earlier in the show, it is an interactive session show, so you can be part of this conversation by dialing the number 0803 0857 755 or 08009. This is still back past the Patryk Edeke on Memories 96.5 FM. For those who felt aggrieved during the primaries, I think this gentleman in the studio have sufficiently allayed your fears and concern, and I think at this point your perceived frayed ego might have been assuaged at this particular point. Well, let's leave the zoning issue and talk about what is raging worldwide right now, because I'm going to use the word worldwide as it is, because there are pockets of protests going around across the world. We've got the one in Bangladesh, which that resulted to the Prime Minister resigning and fleeing the country. We've got the one that is happening in the UK as we speak. We've got the one that is crazy in Kenya as we speak, and then the one in Nigeria particularly was the one that really concerns us that much. I mean, fine, end of bad government, but when you look at some of the things that the protesters are doing with the looting, the destruction and everything, is that all? Is that a show to show that you are trying to end a bad government, Mr. Peters?
So you understand the irony that is playing out. You can't end bad governance by with bad protest. It's even not the protest. So it has taken a criminal dimension, because protest would mean that, look, you trying, you have the question of bad governance. So we are going to show you good organized protest where people do not infringe on anybody's right. I watched clips over the weekend, and I love what protesters did in Rivers State, Port Harcourt, where they told everybody, look, you will not loot, you are not going to steal anything. Once we spot you in any criminal activity, we are going to arrest you, hand you over to the police, because we will not have the police or the security take advantage of what we want to do, as much as we do not want the citizens to also take advantage of the protest. I do not even want to. We are not yet in Akwa Ibom State, because we know what is going on in Akwa Ibom and what has happened in Akwa Ibom. So the global phenomenon where protest has taken a center stage would mean that people are dissatisfied with systems of governance, procedures in governance, and they want things to change. But you would also have a whole lot in your hand, because you are dealing with some persons in the society who are not as enlightened as Patryk. So once they hit the street, who controls these persons? Because the enlightenment level is low, you cannot also predict what will happen. And when you predict, you can predict to the negative, and the negative, we've seen it happen in a number of places. The other thing that could rein people in from not going destructive is the benefits of experience. So you see in the case of Lagos, you are now seeing that people are now saying, look, Lagos may have learned from what happened in NSAS. So people now protest without destroying facilities, because again, you understand that once you get to that destructive lane, you are also giving this same government the opportunity to still get funds that they would have used maybe to build you hospitals, build you schools, build facilities for you, build you rail, and all of that. They will now plow back those resources in maintaining the things that you've destroyed. So back to your expression, where we are in Nigeria is not peculiar to Nigeria. You've laid the foundation. We've seen it in UK, and I also listened to the Prime Minister this morning that said, look, that the security are on their legs, and they're equally arresting people. They will not allow people in the guise of protest, to divide or to stress the unity, the fabric of statehood. They will not just do that. No government will do that, and we've seen a number of arrests even in the UK. And these things are happening in a number of countries also. So the question is there: should government do better? Yes, government should do better. Should states take responsibility of activities or going on in their countries or state? Yes, they should do better. Go against the ambit of the law? The answer is no. But either way, there is a call for continuous enlightenment, continuous sensitization, if we must have a state where people are aware and things must go on right.
All right, His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom State met with youths, the government has youths from Akwa Ibom State, in fact, youths of the Igbo descent, the Arewa descent, of the Yoruba descent, Niger Delta, and all that. Now, you could say there was little or absolutely no protest in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Efo, would you attribute that to the governor's leadership governance style?
And you've said it all. It's all about the leadership and governance style of the governor. Like a Congo mentioned the other day and the other time, you don't have a governor who is anti-violence and you go ahead to promote violence. You watch the action of the governors. What he says, whether he does it. You don't have a governor that is tolerant of the opposition and you go attacking the opposition. You don't have a governor that is peaceful and you go against peace in the state. So the governor has shown a clear leadership style, that he is a man of peace, He's a man that tolerates opposing views. He's a man that listens. He's a man that is compassionate, and he's a man that does things at his own pace. He cannot be rushed. He's not under pressure. So when you have this kind of man at the helm of affairs and he's showing all the signs of leadership, you have to also know that as a citizen, you have to follow suit. And thank God for the youth we have in Akwa Ibom. There's been serious reorientation of the mindset of the youth, that they also follow the governor's pace. Like he was talking about responsible leadership, there is also equally a responsible followership. What has happened in this case, that when the governor told the youth before that, look, there's a protest coming on. Well, everybody has a right to protest, but please let your right ends where the other person's rights start. You don't take, because you are protesting, you stop another person from passing a road that they should pass. Do your protest if you want to, but they also urge them, please stay away from the protest, so that hoodlums will not hijack the protest for other things other than the protest, for other criminal activities other than the protest. And the youth of Akwa Ibom listened to him. And a common talked about consultations and consultations. This has always been the governor's style. He consults, and he consulted the youth. He didn't just go on air to talk. He called them, he called the leadership, sat with them, told them this. He even called every other sector, civil society organizations, women leaders, party leaders across board, leaders of communities, local government chairmen. He also called labor leaders to talk to them, to go talk to their people. Look, you have the right to protest, but we want peace in this state. We want peace in this state. You understand? So all these people obeyed him, and he has started the governor also listens, and he also appreciates those who do what he says they should. So he has started an appreciation tour to say, in quote, he met youths the other day, them, and he said that he's very thankful to them that they didn't join that protest. And he said that because they did not join that protest, they've said that he has hit louder, that message is even louder than joining that protest, that he calls him to even do more, and to show he will do much more for them. And he has even done much more outside what we talked about in this past 1 year. Are some of the things the youth were clamoring for through this protest, some of the demands he has been doing, some of these things to alleviate poverty. It's all about hunger and poverty, and he has done a whole lot in the state. He doesn't run the palliative economy where you share rice and all of that. He does share too, but he has done much more than share the rice to people, because he knows that the rice sharing thing, that palliative economy thing, is a stopgap. But you must invest in agriculture. He's doing all of that. He has even pushed local government chairmen to go to the grassroots, have farms, and he visited one of the farms of the local government chairman, that one of Newsroom, and you can see what he said. And he also visited farms of private individuals in the state to encourage others to grow. And he keeps saying, look, if you buy pepper in the market, then you're not supposed to be a good citizen of Akwa Ibom. So he pushes all of us to try to go back to the farm, the basics, so that you can even have food on your table. You don't wait for government palliative rice before you can eat. Beyond that, he has encouraged entrepreneurs to go get something doing, employ others if you can, and then he has trained over 800 entrepreneurs, but the entrepreneurs so far, people who never even knew and believed their business would move. They've been struggling with business. The governor comes in, led Ibom Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Center, and gives you quality training on how to move your business from level A to level B, so that you can grow your business and become a better business person. Things you can get from Lagos Business Schools. Anyway, they are part of the faculty there. So, and then he did not stop there. He gave grants to all of them. And most of these people are in the very youthful, productive stage. And you can see the spiral effect of this on the economy. It will improve. You take 800 people, count the number of people that are dependent on them. It will not be less than 5. So you multiply that by 800. You know the touch that has made to the society. No more looking. Those ones are out of the political rally zone. They'll be making things happen in the economy and breaking the economy loose, and then people will not have things to fend for themselves and then have food on their table. So he has done a lot. I can't count many of the things he's done because of the time, but he has actually done a lot about the demands of the youth.
Now we're coming back home now. Mr. Peters, the last time we had the NSAS protest in Akwa Ibom here, it was hijacked by, I'll call them massive looters, where they unleashed mayhem on people's businesses, destroyed people's businesses, carted away people's goods, and it was a pleasant sight. Now, some of the people who, although Mr. Fuad talked about the things that His Excellency has done, so the youth in Akwa Ibom State who are intentional about what is happening in Akwa Ibom State have seen some of these things, and they have decided to listen and then toe the line of what His Excellency is saying. His Excellency just mentioned that about 5,000 jobs are going to be created for the youth, and that was what he meant by he has listened. That their message is louder than even the protest. But on social media, particularly Twitter, some of our Akwa Ibomites who are clamoring for the protests here in Akwa Ibom are those who are not residents in Akwa Ibom. What would you say concerning Ibom descent, who are not resident in Akwa Ibom, who do not understand the processes of what is happening in Akwa Ibom, are the people who are staying far off there and encouraging people in Akwa Ibom to protest? What is your take on that?
Very, very unfortunate, I would say. Some persons feel that the language of development, the language of growth is synonymous with protest. It's obviously not. It's obviously not. Some people think that that the language of growth and culture must come with violence. That is what will open up to it. But I can tell you that it does not. It does not apply. If we should use Dubai as an example to drive on our context here, it finds itself within a space, within a league, the Arab League, where you have restiveness every other time. But what do you see? There is hardly a time you would hear that United Arab Emirates are involved in a number of crises. So while other members of the Arab League are wondering how and why United Arab Emirates Dubai is developing, okay, while they are engulfed in war, they are developing. It means that the peace, development, and even money. The former governor would always say that money goes at the direction of peace. Now you discover that people will take themselves to where there is peace. So it is instructive that those people should know that the managers of government and politics and development in Akwa Ibom State, being led by Pastor Moino, understands what Akwa Ibom stand to benefit, stand to gain when Akwa Ibom is at peace among or at the time where her neighbors, are engulfed in crisis. Okay, so what you would do, or what you will have where a state is stable, is this: that you'll have real estate coming in, and if you should take yourself down to Oron Road, you would lose count of the number of real estate companies that have settled along that corridor. It's because we are not at that Dubai level that people, men for instance, will choose to take the risk to go work where there is volatility. State today, the 21st anniversary is just by this Idero. It started like just a settlement of few houses. Just take yourself there, you'll be amazed what is happening. And guess what? A number of people who are resident there are not Akwa Ibom persons. I had an interaction with somebody who said, I work in a state in the west. The other friend works in another state in the south, but they all relocated their families to Akwa Ibom State.
Wonder why?
They said they have found that Akwa Ibom State, among committee of state, is peaceful. So they would rather keep their families here where they can predict what would happen next.
So why would somebody who is of Akwa Ibom descent stay somewhere, particularly in Lagos, and encourage people in Akwa Ibom to engage in violent conduct
You know this area of new media and social media. People would do a number of things for public appeal. They call it crowd chasing. They call it. They want to. I mean, they just want to have increased numbers of influencers. Okay, so they will do those things. But the good thing is this: that with Pastor Moino, their opinion is not strong enough to move Akwa Ibom people into that violence. I'm not saying that protest is all violent, but because they also have a leadership and a culture presently under Pastor Moino who has prioritized consultation. He is intentional. He could have waited for 1st of August before he started rushing at the people, but he knew what will come, and perhaps other people did not see. So this question of leaders being foresighted also come to play. So he did not wait for 1st of August, to fall on us. He started before 1st of August to consult with the people, dialogue with the people, a town hall that is different from every other town hall. So people should not be surprised that we now have a result that is different from other states. It is a process of what? Leadership, consultation, dialogue. And once you have all of this in a mix, the possibility of your state being different from other states is there. And once Akwa Ibom state is peaceful and the people are listening, the people are watching, so it is also possible that the next line of action would be, if we have a state that could be peaceful, let us move our investment there, let us go settle there. And even if they start by settling, by the time they settle, the next thing they will think of, when you found a place to settle, the next thing you will also think of what? Building or developing your business and investment. So for Pastor Moino, and of course the people of Akwa Ibom State, there is nothing that is as sweet as the people are following him. And of course people have said, if you are a leader and you are leading and nobody's following you, just know that all you do, you are just taking a walk. And so the Pastor Moino, who saw himself hosting a number of communities, talking to them to say, look, gentlemen, we've heard you, but we can also do better, not when people take to the street. Allow us do what we have promised to do. The people are also reasonable. They also know that from May 29, 2023, that they have seen a pro-people style of governance. So it becomes almost very easy for you to convince the people you are talking to, because you are not telling them fables, you are not telling them stories. You are telling them, look at what I have done in this 14 months. Look at my style. And because they are convinced that, look, this is your style and your style is pro people. After all, the people that will be mobilizing to the street are what? The same common people, the people they will call the Talakawas, right? You would understand. So once your leadership appeals to these same people, it becomes difficult for anybody to sit, whether in Lagos or Abuja, and blow trumpet for them in Akwa Ibom State to follow. It becomes very difficult. It would have happened if the governor was elitist and does not give a damn to whatever happens to the common man in the street. But where you have under Pastor Moino, the commoners who couldn't raise a block would end up seeing himself with a 2-bedroom flat. You have a commoner who in this time would not have known where his or her next 500,000 will come with, would see more than 100 in a particular time, more than 400 in a particular time, being given a business grant. These grants are not given to portfolio businessmen. They are grants given to the very people that you would have mobilized into the street. So the governor, before you started think of mobilizing them, the governor has started mobilizing them since May 29, 2023. So your
mobilization versus mobilization.
It is mobilization versus mobilization. So he knew that a time like this will come in Nigeria. He started mobilizing his people back, far back. So it becomes difficult for you to just use your social media to mobilize. If you are trying to use your social media to mobilize, it becomes using social media versus somebody who has used leadership, who has used appeal, who has used good words. I mean, just sit down under Pastor Moino and listen to him. By the time he finish talking, you won't go into the street.
I'm coming to you. if we allow you, the excitement with which you read all these things, we could go on and on forever. So I just like the part when you say it's mobilization versus mobilization. We're really running on. So Mr. Efo, you are the image maker of this administration. In one 30 seconds, please. What would be your message? I don't want to use the word advice. What would be your message to the people of Akwa Ibom State in relation to those who are not resident in Akwa Ibom State, who stay outside Akwa Ibom State and instigate violence in Akwa Ibom State?
Maybe I should use 10 minutes to say that.
No,
Okay, I wanted to say 10 seconds first of all. Use 10 seconds first of all to add to what he said, that the governor is also planning further consultations because from September he will start. That's that. Coming back to your question, I'll just tell them, travel and see. Just come back home. Come and feel what is happening here. Come and see Akwa Ibom. Come and see the peace we're having. Come and see the development we're having. Come and see the focused leadership we're having. Come back home and see what others are seeing and want to choose Akwa Ibom as their home. And then if they do just that, I'm sure they will join the people to support a governor who is focused on taking development to the next level.
Thank you for spending time in the studio with us and educating us and informing Akwa Ibomites on the way to go when this kind of things is cutting across the nation, is cutting across the world as it will. Because I'm just watching what is happening in Bangladesh. It's not a sight to behold, and there's nowhere you have development where there is anarchy, where it is mayhem. To further say something about what Mr. Com just said, he said, you look at the nations that are progressing, you hardly see them taking from that. And for those who are in Lagos, on social media, Twitter, Facebook, asking people to join in the head mentality of causing disruption in the state, I think they should desist at this point. So those who are just tuning in, I'm afraid you've come to the end of another exciting moment on Backpass with Patryk Edeke on Memories 96.5 FM. At this point, I think I'm going to sign out. My name is Patryk Edeke because the lovely Sharon is already giving me the signs. It's about time for the news. So it's time up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patryk. Yes, he's right. We're out of time because it's time for the global news at midday.